If you're a Skyline GT-R fan, you would have heard the phrase N1 to describe everything from engine blocks to water pumps to oil pumps to aero to headlights and even complete engines. But did you know that the N1 is actually a model of Skyline GT-R? In fact, it is the rarest Nissan Skyline GT-R to come out of the Nissan factory, and we have a complete set so we can go into detail of what makes this car so special. Now, you've all heard of the super rare Nismo models of GT-R, the Z-Tune, the R-Tune, the S-Tune, the 400R, and there's also the Ortec models of GT-R, and some people even think the HKS 0R is a rare model of GT-R, but it's a tuner car and open to interpretation. Now, the thing is with all of those cars I just mentioned is they are all built outside of the Nissan factory. So the chassis leaves the Nissan factory or even a complete car to go be built elsewhere. Now, yes, Nismo and Ortec are part of Nissan, but they are built outside of the Nissan factory. Now, the thing is, with the Skyline GT-R N1s, they all leave the Nissan factory as they are, which is why we're saying they are technically the rarest model of Skyline GT-R. Now, some people try to use combinations of colours and spec and series and model or whatever to create their own rare GT-R. For example, one of 4 R33 GT-R Series 3 V-Specs in AR2. Please stop. You have an R33 GT-R V-Spec. That's it. Yes, the colour will determine the demand for the car, but it's not a build plate that you can try and comment on. Meanwhile, the N1 Skyline GT-R is a very special model of car. It has heritage, it has motorsport history and pedigree, and it was very difficult to get. N1s were only available to race teams and Nissan executives, although a few did end up in the hands of some tuning shops who wanted to start off with a lightweight motorsport special. The main thing that makes the N1 so special is that it's homologated for motorsport. It has true racing heritage. The name N1 is because the car was built to go racing in the Japanese N1 Endurance Series, which then became the Super N1 Taikou Series and then just Super Taikou Series. Basically, the name changed as the regulations changed over time. It's a Pro-Am series, and N1 was essentially Japan's own Group N production car race series and was a step below Group A, which then went on to become the JGTC and then the GT500. The rules of Group N, or production car racing, limits modifications essentially to safety items only, so the car needs to come from factory with what it needs to go racing. Now, some production car series require thousands of a base model of car to be made, but you may only need to do a very small run of special edition models to homologate it to go racing, as is the case with the N1 series of Skyline GT-Rs. These regulations generally lead to manufacturers producing a special edition that will be equipped with upgrades that it needs to survive racing, such as oil coolers, and remove things to save weight. And this is what the N1 is all about. Behind us, we have a complete set of all three, so we're going to go through them one by one and go into detail about what's different on the N1 that makes them so special. Let's go. The N1 started with the R32. Production numbers totaled 245, 118 Series 2 in 1991, and then there was 64 V-Spec models and 63 V-Spec 2 models, which is what this example is. It came equipped with the same bodywork of the Nismo model, which was the homologation special for Group A racing. Bumper vents for more air to the intercooler. The bumper mesh was also removed for more airflow to the intercooler, but this example has it reinstalled. There's a bonnet lip to direct more air into the radiator. There's a rear boot lip spoiler for more downforce, and revised side skirt spats. You could buy it in any colour you want, as long as it's white. It's also said that the paint is thinner to save weight. Speaking of saving weight, aircon, stereo system and ABS were removed but could be optioned back in for those being kept as road cars, as many were sent straight to race teams. The rear wiper was also removed, saving weight, and the N1 doesn't use projector headlights, which saves even more. Turns out they're just GTST headlights with an attachment for the grille. There is more weight saving with less boot trim as well. But the thing about the R32 N1 is many optioned back in or installed missing items, so it can be hard to tell a genuine N1 without checking the VIN number. The big thing about the N1 though is the engine. It used all of the N1 items you could buy and some you couldn't. The 24U or N1 engine block, which has extra bracing inside to stop the cracking of the block and a thicker deck to stop cracks forming on the deck, both common problems in the regular RB26 block. Inside is N1 water pump, N1 oil pump gears, and it's said that the engine was built to tighter tolerances and has different ring sizes and gaps to suit racing, although the crank and rods themselves are the same parts as normal RB26. The N1 engine also has N1 turbochargers, which are larger and use a steel wheel exhaust for better reliability, and they can also run higher boost. Power was rated at the same 276 horsepower, but capable of making more and making it more reliably during motorsport use, the true purpose of the N1. The R33 GT-R was born into a world after Group A racing, so the N1 was the only true homologated motorsport special. The N1 Endurance series became the Super N1 Taiko series, and the R33 GT-R N1 became the basis of the race car once again. Only 87 were made, this time all V-specs and in QM1 white. 55 Series 1, 21 Series 2, and only 11 Series 3 were produced, which is what this example is. The R33 GT-R N1 differs visually by having intercooler vents and a bonnet lip spoiler for increased engine airflow. It has a more aggressive and carbon adjustable wing blade, and the rear windscreen has no wiper or heater element. There is also a block off where the aerial used to be, and the rear parcel shelf has no speaker holes. It saves weight by ditching aircon and stereo, although it can be optioned back in. The ABS, however, remains, as there was no need to remove it for homologation anymore. They even removed the passenger side vanity mirror in the quest to save weight. Overall, weight saving was approximately 30 kilos. The R33 also received an N1 engine, which obviously is N1 block, water pump, oil pump, turbos, and built to tighter clearances and tolerances. The R33 GT-R N1 also came with an oil cooler and is said to be lower with stiffer suspension, although we haven't got any hard facts on this. The R33 N1 is easier to distinguish and harder to fake, but a VIN check is still the best way to know if it's genuine. The best place to do this is GT-R Registry. The R34 Skyline GT-R N1 was made in even less numbers, 56 in total, with 38 Series 1 V-specs and only 18 Series 2 V-spec 2s, which this example is. The rules surrounding what was now called Super Taiko had evolved by the time the R34 GT-R was released, just like JGTC had evolved into GT300 and GT500. This is why the R34 GT-R Super Taiko cars look so different and awesome. 12 of the cars were used by Nismo to create these race cars, meaning the road cars are exceptionally rare. Visually, the only difference to the base model is unpainted black side mirrors, and the V-spec 2 has the carbon bonnet left raw. The same weight-saving measures of removing the rear wiper and making the stereo and aircon an option were included, but ABS remained in the R34 GT-R N1 also. The N1 engine was brought up to R34 specification, but still used the 24U N1 block, N1 water and oil pump, the blueprinted and better toleranced internals, and the N1 larger and steel-wheeled equipped turbochargers. It also received an oil cooler. The N1 uses the same engine that you hear being used in the last of the R34 GT-Rs, the NER. So there you have it, the Skyline GT-R N1, the rarest model of Skyline GT-R to come out of the Nissan factory, and one of the only Skyline GT-Rs to have true motorsport heritage and DNA built into it. They really are probably the most collectible and special GT-R model on the market.